Welcome to the video lecture about human development. I often refer to this topic in psychology as the part that focuses on the womb to the tomb. And many students will laugh it off, usually thinking that it's pretty morbid, but human development over the lifespan is such a comprehensive thing that it accurately talks about development through conception to death. Developmental psychologists will study how we change and develop over our lives, and it starts with the sperm and the egg, which is something that most people are usually familiar with. What they may not know is that it is a crucial time of development, and the environment and a woman's physical health can have such an impact on the fetus. Certain foods can affect the fetus. Drugs and alcohol can cause problems later on in life, such as fetal alcohol syndrome, as well as smoke and secondhand smoke, certain medications, as well as environmental problems and pollutants. All of these things are referred to as teratogens. The most common are smoking and alcohol. But after the baby is born, they begin to develop at lightning speed, and there are many theories about human development, but the most popular one is from Jean Piaget. He believed that babies learn facts about their world through 4 different stages. Our cognitive development is influenced by our socialization with other children, so we learn from other kids, and it helps to prepare us for socialization throughout our entire lives. We develop really strong emotional bonds with our caregiver, our primary caregiver, which is usually mom, but it can be grandma, dad, a babysitter, that kind of caregiver for the child. And it's a bond that will set the stage for our temperament and can teach us how to regulate our behaviors over our entire lifespan. So we also learn about right and wrong, and usually because our actions have consequences, we get in trouble. But that just continues throughout our entire lifetime, because I know some adults who still don't know the difference between right and wrong. When we reach adolescence, it is definitely a time for what psychologists refer to as storm and stress. Our bodies have reached a point to where we begin to mature sexually. And I can vividly remember in the 5th grade where the teachers separated the boys from the girls. And in the girl talk, they gave them the talk and ruined our lives forever. With the boys, I think they just sat around telling jokes and eating M&Ms. I don't really know. Since our brains aren't fully formed in adolescence, it can cause us to do some really stupid things. We are risky kids who don't think before we do something. Therefore, it lands us in a bunch of trouble or we get hurt. And one of the most frequently things you will hear is, hey, watch this. And it never ends well. Since our sexuality is developing at rapid speed, many adolescents are beginning to take interest in the opposite sex, while some are interested in the same sex. Some become sexually active, not really knowing the gamut of their consequences, and this is really a time in which adolescents begin to form their sexual identity, move away from their parents, and become much more independent. If you ask a teenager, how old is old? They often reply with something like, well, 30. But in reality, old age has many levels. Everything does decline as we get older, but that's normal. Physically, we lose muscle strength and endurance, especially if we don't exercise. Our memory can decline, as well as our cognitive performance. You've heard that if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. That is absolutely true. And so that's one of the reasons you'll find games like crossword puzzles, Sudoku, and all those different things like at an assisted living facility or a nursing home. Emotionally, however, adults are much happier in their early years of adulthood as opposed to what an adolescent might go through. People who are married are usually living longer and they're happier, even though they might argue a lot. But parenting can be a big challenge. Children can bring unlimited happiness and joy, but it can also be a world of stress and pain. As we approach death, assuming that it is of old age and natural causes, many people will reflect over their lifetimes. Some of us will look back and feel proud and feel a lot of integrity, while others will look back and feel despair and ask themselves, well, what if I would have done that? And so it can kind of cause a lot of depressing feelings. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross was one of the pioneers in studying death and dying, and she spoke with thousands of people who were going through the death process. They were approaching death, it was coming, they knew it, and she developed the 5 stages of grief. And this is a very important discovery because now healthcare professionals can help people to prepare for death and can help people and their families accept and process what is about to happen to them. On a side note, 5 of my friends turned 40 this year, and we recently had a celebration for them, and many were concerned and upset because 40 is such a milestone. Now they're over the hill They were talking about wrinkles and unsightly belly bulge and their retirement, and nobody thinks they're attractive anymore. And I just sat back and smiled because I turned 40 a long time ago. And I reminded them that another birthday should be something that will be celebrated because it's much more preferred than the alternative. And they said, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, at least you're not dead. And they're like, oh, well, I didn't really look at it like that. So I remind you that pay attention to your life before it passes you by, because one day you're going to look back and you're going to think, oh, what if? And I don't want you to have any what ifs.